So what's inside our revenue and units sold tables now? Well, revenue simply contains 4 columns, a date column, not related to our calendar as a side note, a revenue for product A, revenue for product B, and the total cost that we had to, well, produce both of these products. In the units sold table, we have the same dates and the units sold of product A and the units sold of product B. Now, let's dive into the revenue table first and let's apply some calculations here. First, as we have the total cost, I would also like to calculate the total revenue. For this, we again go to the table tools and create a new column here. This new column will be called total revenue, and now we have multiple options to do that. So we want to calculate the total revenue, and for this you might want to use the sum function we already saw. This is a problem though, because sum, like this, as you can see it, adds all the numbers in a column. So if I would apply sum here and say I refer to our revenue products A column here, well, then if I would hit enter, this would be the result. It would be the sum of all values in our column. So you have to be careful about the DAX formulas, because you have to exactly know how a formula works and if it considers the data inside a column or also different columns. Therefore, we can go to the total revenue column again and get rid of this, because the right approach here is to use the plus operator. We want to combine the information from 2 columns. Therefore, we type the square brackets, say revenue product A plus revenue product B. Well, that's the total revenue, and now this works perfectly. Let's now continue with another calculation. Now I want to calculate my margin, so the profit I make compared to my total revenue. For this, we need to create another column here and call it profit margin, right? It should be a percentage value, important here. And what would be a profit margin? Well, as a first step, we could say we calculate our share of the cost in a total revenue, and then we turn this around to a profit margin. So to calculate the share of the cost, we have to refer to our total cost column and now divide it by our total revenue. Like this. This would be the divide operator here. And if we do so, we have the new column and we see we have some percentage value here. Important, it's not a profit margin. And by the way, I have a typo here. Sorry about that. It should be profit margin. This is just the share of our costs and our total revenue. I'm totally aware of that. However, this should be a percentage value. So let's first select this column, go to column tools, and now change the format from general to a percentage value here. However, this is not the profit margin, as I said. For this, we have to go back to our formula and now add 1 minus ahead of that. With 1 minus, we will exactly get the residual value here. So we have almost 35% of profit margin here. This means 1 minus this value would result in, well, round about 65% of profit margin. Don't forget to add the parentheses right here and right there. And we see this worked perfectly. And this is a fine approach, but it has an issue though, because in our case, all data can be divided perfectly, but in case the division is not possible because you have a 0 value, you didn't have any revenue, for example, on a specific day, then this would cause trouble, and we want to make sure that we handle such cases. Therefore, I will not use this logic right here, so this division operator. I will use the divide function. The divide function allows us to divide the values between different columns, and as you can see it here, it allows us to handle divisions by 0 in case our revenue would not be existent on a specific day. Therefore, let's press tab and let's first define the numerator. Well, this should be our total cost, and it should be divided by our total revenue. And now, as the third parameter here, we can specify the alternate result. This should simply be 0. So in case the division fails, we want to have a 0 value in here. Now, with enter, we changed it. The result does not change, of course, but now you saw that whilst the sum function didn't work between different columns, the divide function does so. As a next step, I want to dive a bit deeper. Now it's time to have a look at logical functions and filter functions.